Do you know what? It's been a long day and I thought it'd be a nice treat today just to sit down, chill out, have a look at the comments on some of the videos. Some of the videos have been popping off recently. I'm sure there's some really great comments, some people being really, really nice to me in the comments. You can see where I'm going with this, can't you? Oh wow, this app works poorly. YouTube Studio. Ooh, a few comments here. Let's start with one of my favourite varieties of comments. And that is the, acting like you're in an audience where there's someone performing on a stage and you're turning to your mate going, have you heard of this? This guy just comes across as one of those bitter communists. Oh, very bitter, very communist. Government should not meddle in markets with regulations. Yes, they should. We all know this. Such a dumb comment to be like, oh, they shouldn't meddle at all. They really should, because otherwise things go to shit. You see this happen. People don't rent a property because they are gazumped by landlords. Quite often they do. People rent for a number of reasons, for work, poor credit, or even own other properties that they rent out themselves. Usually, socialists always like to blame others for their own failings instead of themselves because they didn't get up off their backsides. Okay, some stuff to unpack here. People rent for all sorts of reasons. I've been renting for the longest time just because I don't like the idea of owning property. I just don't. I started renting in a world where renting was kind of cheaper than buying somewhere. Even when I moved down to London, I lived there for a while, it always made sense to rent. You're moving about and, the deposits weren't stupid. The amount per month wasn't ridiculous. It wasn't great, but it wasn't ridiculous. We have come to a point now, and this is why I'm kind of talking out about it, and it's the thing that's on my mind. We've come to a point now where we looked at carrying on renting in Stockport, which is outside of Manchester City. But for the longest time, I've considered somewhere that I wouldn't really want to live, but I work there. It's actually quite nice. I've spent a lot of time there now. I do quite like it. I was harsh on it in the past. But for the kind of place that we want to live, the rent is shockingly high. And you're also looking at 1, 2, 3 months in advance. You're looking at house buying prices, almost house buying deposits sizes from 10, 15 years ago now is what just gets you a place to rent. And there's a couple of great videos from Tom Nicholas about renting and landlords and stuff like that, and he talks about some of these things in a lot better way than I can, and I'm sure there's other resources out there that can talk about this a lot better than I can. The point is, yes, people rent for all sorts of reasons, but renting is so ridiculously expensive. Renting is a great option for so many people. The idea of renting is the perfect way to be able to move around a bit easier, to be able to, the idea of it is that you have something that's cheaper than having to own a house. It's not. It just doesn't work like that anymore. Usually socialists always like to blame. Right. Whatever. So he's kind of saying, I'm a communist, I'm a socialist. Well, I'm not. I function very well in this capitalist society that we have going on. Some of the things I step back from. So far, owning a house has been one of those things. Not because I've not had the money. I've lent out money for my parents to get a deposit. I've historically had a decent amount of money. I stay away from things like borrowing money. There you go. Blame others for their own failings instead of themselves because they didn't get off their backside. Okay, at what point did I say I'd fail? Yes, we're looking at the low end of the market because we are looking at small houses in cities, towns around Manchester. The low end of the market, that's what that is. 1 and 2 bedroom, maybe 3 bedroom, terrace houses, semis. That is the low end of the market. We're not going for some 6 bedroom manor house. We're not going for detached houses. The low end of the market makes up an awful lot of the market. By most metrics that I've set out for myself, I'm doing okay. So thank you, Spokes 1018. All that you said past 1 minute 27 is utter BS. Clearly you have no idea how a housing market would react to regulation, but that's very vague what you're saying. People and companies would build less, worsening the situation. Completely not true. Completely not true. This guy won't get off me. Yeah, I'm talking to this. This guy won't get off me so I can get up and get my camera out again. But the other thing here, the flip side of this is true. Developers will try to wheedle out of building starter homes and things like that in lieu of trying to build stuff that they can sell for more money. So without regulation, maybe you get some more houses, maybe square footage wise, you might get some more houses, but in real terms, the amount of people you can house would go down, and we see that constantly, and that's not because of regulation, that's in spite of regulation. Developers obviously want to make as much money as they can, and low-income housing doesn't make a lot of money, so they have to be forced to do it, and they don't like it. The social housing that we had in the mid-century was regulated, and there was shitloads of it. Yes, it had its problems, but regulations don't mean that people build less. I mean, stupid regulations mean that people build less. If you look at stuff that happens in America, I mean, it happens a bit here, but very particularly in America, they had this idea that like there should only be these particular size single family dwellings. So you literally cannot build affordable housing for people to get started. This has been proven time over time again, and people like you still dig out dead concepts. I don't really know what concepts I've dug out here, but sure. The only way to help people get into their own homes is to build more. Yes, but also to not have people inflating the cost of the houses that are at the affordable end. So many of the homes that are built, especially around where I live currently, they're marketed to investors. So they're marketed to people to rent them out. Why not market them to first-time buyers? And also more sustainable. What is now considered a sustainable new building can be raised after 35 years because it rots away. What really is keeping its value and thus are sustainable are beautiful houses made of brick, air-layered walls, and at least 2 stories high. Yeah, build stuff to last and it'll last. But also, you can't necessarily build that stuff for the prices that people can afford. And I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. Build stuff last is going to be better, but it's difficult. This is my favorite one. Well, wonky. It is staring into the camera. Why is staring into the camera like he's just downed acid and can now understand the world? Freaky. I think this is because of the fact that I was using like a really shallow depth of field and being super close up to the lens. Yeah, I don't think I'm just discovering this now, but hey. Ed DAF. I'm one of those people who'd bought a number of buy-to-lets as an investment. I actually agree with everything you said. That's nice to hear. Buy-to-let mortgages should be withdrawn. This will free up property. This is the thing that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people who can afford to buy like a portfolio of properties as investments that are funding them. What I'm talking about is the people who are buying with money that they've borrowed from the bank, and then all they're doing is passing that money from the renter to the bank while taking a little bit extra for themselves. The whole thing's for themselves, apart from the interest that the bank takes. The thing is, we don't need that middleman. So often you could have, especially like I said at the start, these overinflated deposits where you could, you're looking at a 3-bedroom house with a deposit that wants 3 months rent. You could have 3 people club together and get a mortgage on that place. The amount that works out to. I'm not saying that would work or that's the way it should go, but it's so expensive to rent now that choice is being taken away, but also the choice of an affordable house to buy is being taken away. This will free up property for prospective homeowners, and yes, I'm just breaking even on my investments I will be selling in the coming year. This is the thing that you see a lot. I think it's interesting to see these people who have like stretched themselves to get a mortgage to like build this property empire because they think it's gonna be a way to get rich quick and easy, and then they realize that, well, no, all you need is a couple of years of difficult tenants, and not tenants that are being difficult on purpose. Maybe you've got someone who gets ill, Maybe you've got someone who's like, circumstances change, whatever happens, and then you end up losing money, or you end up, and I know this has happened to people I know, where the cost of having a management company, like you can't spare the time to do it yourself, so you get a management company in, they want to get as much out of it for themselves, so they use their own contractors, they use kind of sketchy tactics sometimes to get more money out of you and to get more money out of the renter. Yeah, like the stat that I said at the end of that video about it being, I can't remember, like you need more than 4 properties to make it pay in the short term. In the long term, obviously, if you can keep it going and you just break even in the short to medium term, you have these properties, the tenant pays off your mortgage for you, you have these properties, you're golden. I couldn't agree more with the grossly underestimated challenge of beating landlords. I do wonder how much that comes down to former COVID and many people having a few spare pennies. My wife and I are about to go through the process. Yeah, this is the thing with people who are like me. This is the other thing, this comment about me like failing and not getting off my arse or whatever. I've done everything that you're supposed to do for decades now. I've got a fantastic credit score. I've done that thing with a credit card where you get it and you spend on it and you pay it straight off. That kind of stuff. I've saved money. I've worked hard. And I'm not saying that I'm in a difficult situation. I'm just saying, wow, this should be easier. This shouldn't be as expensive. We are, and I said this before as well in the other video, so lucky with the circumstances we find ourselves in. What I'm complaining, I'm not saying, oh, woe is me. I'm saying this situation is shit. I'm managing because I've spent a long time doing it exactly right. Still difficult, but I've known the right thing to do. There are a lot of people who didn't get told the right thing to do. There are a lot of people who thought, I'll do the right thing at some point, and they've gone out and they've had fun for 2 decades, and now they're kind of going, oh shit, I need to figure my life out. Bad credit scores, debt, all these kinds of things. I've gone about it the textbook way, and it's still really fucking difficult. So yeah, I'm not saying that this is bad for me. I'm saying this situation is bad for everyone, apart from a few people at the top. And you can see this sort of between the lines in these comments that slag off what I'm saying. These kind of people, you can sort of tell that they only care about themselves, and they sort of project that onto you, thinking that you're only talking about yourself. Oh, the cat's gonna cut its head off. When actually what's happening is I, have empathy for the people who are finding this difficult. There's people I know in much rougher situations than I'm in. Usually it's because the system is letting them down. And also this bullshit about like me being a communist and me being a socialist and we shouldn't have any regulation. It's utter trash. If your house starts burning down, fire brigade, your bin, they're getting emptied for you. The roads, they're getting sorted for you. That's not capitalism. And when capitalism is involved, everything turns to shit. The trains, if you look at the public transport in Manchester right now, where the local government has taken it on themselves, so much better than it ever was. The free market will fix everything, just doesn't really work. You end up having to stop people forming monopolies and just getting themselves rich while shitting on everyone else. This is what we've got to work with, and I'm working within this system. I don't know, I'm tired and I'm grumpy today, but it's been really interesting having a couple of videos pop off and seeing the reaction to them, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for being opened up to other people's opinions as well, because it's so easy to get caught up in your own little bubble, and don't stop them coming. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Who am I talking to? Also throwing around communist as if it's an insult. It's not an insult.